Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com. Today's lesson is going to be on understanding rhythmic notation. So what does that mean? So one of the example tunes we're going to be looking at, and you guys can print this tab off for free at rockclass101.com. We're going to be looking at Ode Joy. I noticed that a lot of people will only pay attention to the tablature on the bottom and they'll completely ignore the notation above. So let me go ahead and give you an example of what brought this lesson on. One of my in-person students, he came in this past week and we've been working on this song. And when he played it for me, I asked him to play it. It sounded like this. It sounded like... Okay? Now his grandpa sits in every lesson, and I asked his grandpa, I said, do you know what song that is? And he sits there like... So I said, why don't I go ahead and play it for you, and then you can tell me what song it is. He goes, oh, Ode Joy. So what was the key difference in my playing versus the student's playing? Because the student played all the correct notes and every note was clear, but one thing was lacking, and that one thing that was lacking was timing and that rhythm, right? So what I've done with this first example for Ode Joy is we're going to break it down and talk about the three parts of music real quick. So the first part of music is melody. Right? So that melody is what most people know from Ode Joy, right? Ba da 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 dum, right? So if I play it as a single note without singing, I have... Now that's the first part of music, right? It's just melody. Now the second part is going to be harmony. So think of harmony as adding chords to the mix. So if I add a simple harmony to that melody, I would have... Right? So all I did was add two chords to the mix. Now we start to fill up that sound more, right? Now, before we get too far into this, right, and we get into that chord melody that I first played, let's just go ahead and break down that third part of music. And that third part of music was our rhythm or our timing, right? So let's backtrack to the melody. Now our melody for this tune, we're playing in 4/4, right? And that means that we have 4 counts per measure and we're counting a quarter note. So that means that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first measure, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the second measure, and it's the same throughout the entire piece. So if that doesn't make sense, go ahead and check out the article that I wrote because it breaks it down in complete detail. And we're going to be looking at these rhythms and these notations and exercises in just a second. So let's go ahead and call out this melody. All I'm playing is open, open, first fret, third fret, all on string 1. And then the second part, I'm going backwards. Third fret, first fret, open first, and then open 4th string. So I have O, O, 1, 3, 3, 1, open, open. So it's important to note that all of these notes that we're playing last the same amount of time. They're all quarter notes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we added that harmony, we added an F chord and we added a C chord. And that F chord is on the first beat of bar 1. So we strum, O, 1, 3, strum, 1, open, open. So the key difference here is that we're keeping that rhythm steady. We're understanding that it's all quarter notes that are happening. Now, when we get to the harder rhythm, where we're playing the actual song, or the arrangement for this version of Ode Joy, our rhythm changed, and our rhythm changed to 8th notes. So we would have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So eighth notes are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what happened with that chord melody that we're playing at the end of this is that we're introducing an open third string in between. So that melody's still ringing true on that downbeat, right? But in between, I'm adding an open, right? So if I got rid of that harmony, I got rid of those chords and all that excess that makes it sound really cool, I literally have an eighth note feel to this tune now. Right? So that's the thing that my student was missing, right? He was not understanding the importance of knowing what the rhythm was for this tune. But he was playing all the right notes. But if we don't play the right rhythms, then the piece just doesn't sound like music because one out of the 3 parts isn't there. All right, so I know that I've talked through quarter notes, 4/4, eighth notes super fast. I probably lost a few of you guys. So here's what we're going to do right now. We're actually going to go to screenshots, and I'm going to talk over a lot of these rhythms. We're going to break it down, start to understand how rhythms work, and start to recognize notes. And we're going to go slowly, and we have 11 exercises that we're going to look at. This is totally going to help you with playing any kind of tab that includes notation. It can be from my website, it can be from any website that you go to, it could be a book you buy, whatever. It's going to help you out tremendously for learning songs quicker. So let's go ahead and get started at it. And we've got 11 exercises we're going to learn as well. All right, guys, let's go ahead and kick off talking about time signatures. Now we're going to talk about 4/4 because that's the most commonly used time signature in Western music. And they actually call it that. A lot of times instead of 4/4, you'll see just a C, which stands for common time. So our time signatures are always represented as a fraction. There's always going to be a number on top of the other number. So let's go ahead and talk about the top number. The top number tells us how many beats to count per measure. And the bottom number tells us what kind of note to count. So in other words, the bottom number corresponds to a note value. And you can see it in this picture right here. You see that if we were to have a 2 underneath, that would be the equivalent of a half note. A 4 is the equivalent of a quarter note. So think of it in money, right? Think of a whole note as 1. Think of a dollar as 1. And if we split that dollar in 2, we have 50 cent and 50 cent, right? That equals a half note. So a half note can be 50 cent, right? And then if we have a dollar and we split it in 4, that means that it is now 4 quarters, right? 4 quarters make a dollar, just like 4 quarter notes make a whole note. So basically 4/4 is telling us to count 4 quarter notes per measure. So measure 1 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We're just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but we're filling that beat as a quarter note. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of these notes. So our whole note is always going to be depicted as an oval that is hollow. And there's not a stem, so there's not one of those lines sticking out of the note head. So there's never any stem. And a whole note lasts for 4 beats. So when you hit it, you hold it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bing, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to hold it out for 4 beats. Now a half note lasts half of that. Half note lasts for 2 beats. So when we hit it, if we're hitting on the 1 beat, we would have bang 2, bang 4. So we're hitting on beat 1 and 3. So half notes last for 2 beats each. And you can see that half notes look kind of like that whole note. There's that hollow circle, but it's got a stem or that line sticking out from the note head. Underneath that, we see quarter notes. Quarter notes are filled in black dots. They're solid black dots. And quarter notes last for 1 beat each. So we would literally be hitting every single beat. We would have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Ba, 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 ba. Okay? Now, if we keep subdividing the beat further, we're going to get into eighth notes. So eighth notes will last half of a quarter note. That means that you need 2 eighth notes now to equal 1 quarter note. So eighth notes are going to be counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So every time your foot hits the ground, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the downbeat, that's your quarter notes. But every time your foot comes up in the air, you're going to hit on that end. So now you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's eighth notes. Again, quarter was 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth note, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're fitting twice as many notes into that same time frame. And you can see that eighth notes look like quarter notes, but they got a flag attached to them. And then we can also group more than one of them together, and we use a beam. So you see that line connecting two of those notes together. So beam groups are much easier to read than a cluster of flagged notes. Now, further subdividing the beat, we can create 16th notes. So 16th note is half of an eighth note. Basically, think of it like this. Think of it as you now have 16 notes to create an entire measure if they're all 16th notes, right? And in eighth notes, you need 8 of them to create the entire measure, right? So 16th notes, we're going to count 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a. Okay, so that is tricky, especially when you're going faster, right? So if we are tapping or clapping the quarter note beat, I have 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a. So that's dividing 4 notes into that one beat. Now, eighth note triplets, that's getting more complex. Okay, triplets are a group of 3 notes that occur in the amount of time that 2 notes of the same value are usually played. So basically what this means, if you look here underneath the text that I wrote, you can see that first bar is sets of eighth notes. We have 2 eighth notes, 2 eighth notes, 2 eighth notes, 2 eighth notes, and then look at the next bar, you can see that instead of just 8 notes, we're adding 1 extra note to each group. So now we're fitting 3 notes into what usually takes us 2 notes to do. So instead of 2 eighth notes, you now have 3 notes. So if I was to count eighth notes, I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if I count triplets, I have triplet, 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 right? So I'm fitting 3 into that same time slot. So if I was to count it, I would have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and triplet, 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 triplet. So it's fitting 3 notes into the same amount of time that it would usually take 2 notes to complete. So it's tricky, right? And there's a couple ways that we can count it. We can count it as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or we can count it as triplet, triplet, triplet. So 2 ways for you guys. Pick the one that's easier. So rests are really important too. So we look at this bottom part, we can see that rests are counted just like the equivalent note value. So you have a whole note, you have a symbol for a whole rest, right? You have a half note, you have a symbol for a half rest. They equal the same amount of time, right? Like a quarter note is 1 beat, a quarter rest is also 1 beat of a rest. So it's really important that you guys recognize both of those. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the 11 exercises that we have. Let's look at exercise 1, which is whole notes. I'm just going to go ahead and tap it. Hopefully it picks up in the mic. So I'm going to tap quarter notes with my foot, and I'm going to clap on the beat. So whole notes, we hit on 1, hold it out. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now half notes, we're going to hit on beat 1 and 3. So remember, half notes last 2 beats. So here's exercise 2. We have 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now quarter notes hit every single beat. Here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Moving on to eighth notes. Remember, we're counting eighth as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So here we go. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Right? Let's slow that down. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now we're going to move on to 16th notes, right? And we're going to do this one slow. Our 16th notes we're counting as 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So our 16th notes, here we go. 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So there I was clapping on the quarter note, right? And just using my voice to play the 16th notes, right? 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay? Alright, so moving on to those triplets, the 8th note triplets, again we can remember to count it either as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or we can count it as triplet, triplet. So it's up to you guys. I'll tap out the quarters. Here we go. Ready, go. Triplet, 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 triplet. So that one is just tricky. Remember that those notes have to be the same length of time, right? We're fitting 3 notes into one beat. Now exercise 7, we have rest. We can see that we've got a quarter rest, 2/8 rest, and then a half rest. So we would count 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then you see that second bar for exercise 7, we have a whole note rest. So we can just count it as 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also count rest, 2, 3, 4. So if I count both bars together, I have 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I would approach counting that one. Now exercise 8 is where we start to combine these rhythms. So we have simple rhythms. So for exercise 8, we can see that we have quarter followed by 2/8 notes followed by a half note, right? That's for bar 1. Let's just start there. So we have 1, 2, and 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So if I tap it out, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So that's that first bar. Look at the next bar. We have 8th note followed by quarter rest followed by 2 quarter notes. So now we have 1 and rest, 3, 4. So together, 3, 4. 1 and rest, 3, 4. Again, 1 and rest, 3, 4. Now let's try both bars together. 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1 and rest, 3, 4. Awesome. Let's do it again. Ready, start. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1 and rest, 3, 4. Alright, so for exercise 9, starting out with 8th notes, then quarter note, back to 8th note, and then we get a whole note. So we have 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do it together. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So nothing too hard in that one. Now exercise 10 is where it gets tricky. We introduce those 8th note triplets into the mix. So we have quarter, triplet, quarter, 8th notes. So we have 1, triplet, 3, 4, and. Let's give that a shot. Ready, go. 1, triplet, 3, 4, and 1, triplet, 3, 4, and. Right, let's slow it down. Ready, slow. 1, triplet, 3, 4, and. So that one's tricky, right? Look at the next bar. We have quarter, triplet, triplet, quarter. 1, triplet, triplet, 4. 1, triplet, triplet, 4. So if we do our exercise 10 all the way through both bars, now we have 3, 4. 1, triplet, 3, 4, and 1, triplet, triplet, 4. So very tricky with that bar, right? Because we got to switch between those rhythms. Now exercise 11 combines our 16th notes, right? Now we've got 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4, right? There's that first bar. 3, 4. 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4, right? So instead of me going da 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 da, right? Let's just call it out because it'll be easier. Again, 3, 4, we have 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4, okay? Now let's look at the second bar. Again, it starts the same, 1E and a 2E and a, but our beat 3 is going to be a half note. So we're going to hit it once. 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4, right? Again, 3, 4, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4. So you just hold it out till we're done. So 11 all the way through. Ready, go. 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4, and then we're done. I would recommend to use a metronome or to tap along, and you can either clap and call it out, or you can play. As you see, I just labeled everything as an open A string, so you can play along with the uke. Go at whatever speed you need for the tempo, slow it down, make it easier, and then boost your tempo up. Premium members are going to get the option to use the play along, which is included on this page, on the lesson page, so that's going to help a lot. So I definitely would recommend using something to help you until eventually you'll get into the swing of not needing a metronome, because you just start to get that groove and you start to tap and count and clap and do everything in perfect time, right? So that's the goal of introducing this rhythmic notation to you guys, is to help you get to that next level in musicianship, to help you improve your timing and your rhythmic abilities. So this is a very important lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helps you out a lot. And I hope the next time you look at tablature, you guys take a look above to the notation as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks.